The conference room was silent except for the sound of Marcus Hale's pen tapping against the mahogany table. 12 executives waited. No one spoke. They knew better. Marcus reviewed the quarterly projections one more time, his expression unchanged. Then he looked up. "The Singapore expansion is approved," he said. "But the budget projections in your proposal are inflated by 18%. I've revised them. You'll receive the updated figures by end of day." The CFO opened his mouth, closed it. Marcus continued. "The hiring freeze stays. The Melbourne office closes by Q2. Questions?" No one had questions. They never did. Marcus stood. That's all. The room emptied in less than 30 seconds. Alone, Marcus gathered his papers, straightened his tie, and walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. 43 floors below, people moved through their lives. Chaotic, unstructured, emotional. Marcus had built everything in his life to avoid becoming one of them. And then, 3 days later, someone walked into his perfectly controlled world and asked him a question no one had ever asked before. Not what he wanted, not what he needed, but who he was. And Marcus realized he didn't know how to answer. If you've ever built walls so high you forgot what you were protecting, stay with me. Marcus Hale was 46 years old, CEO of Hale Meridian Capital. 17 years building the firm from 3 employees to 400. Asset management, private equity, institutional investment, numbers, systems, control. His day began at 5 a.m. Gym, shower, black coffee, emails, office by 7, meetings scheduled in 30-minute blocks, lunch at his desk, dinner alone or with clients, home by 9, sleep by 11, repeat. He had no hobbies, no close friends, no relationship that lasted longer than 3 months, not because he was cruel. He simply didn't have time for inefficiency. And emotions, Marcus had learned early, were the most inefficient thing humans possessed. His corner office was exactly as he wanted it. Minimal, clean lines, no personal photographs, no decorative objects. Just a desk, 2 chairs, and a view. His assistant, Patricia, had worked for him for 6 years. She knew his schedule better than he did. She also knew never to ask him how he was feeling. Marcus didn't feel. He decided. He executed. He moved forward. That was enough. Or it had been. Until the Monday morning meeting that changed everything. The firm was acquiring a small but promising fintech startup. Standard procedure, due diligence complete. Legal review finished. All that remained was integration. Marcus had assigned the transition to his VP of Operations, David Chen. But David had just tendered his resignation. Family reasons, the email said. Marcus didn't care about reasons. He cared about results, which meant he needed a replacement immediately. Patricia sent him 3 candidates, all internal, all qualified. Marcus chose based on efficiency metrics. The third name on the list, Dr. Elena Vasquez, former management consultant, MBA from Stanford, 5 years at McKinsey before joining Hale Meridian 18 months ago as a senior analyst. Performance reviews, exceptional. Interpersonal conflicts, none. Overtime hours logged, consistently high. Perfect. Marcus sent Patricia a 1-line email. Promote Vasquez to VP Operations effective immediately. Integration meeting tomorrow, 9 a.m. The next morning, Elena arrived at 8:55. Marcus was already in the conference room reviewing the acquisition files. She knocked once. Entered. "Good morning, Mr. Hale." Marcus didn't look up. "Sit." She sat. He slid a folder across the table. "Integration plan. Finalized. I need you to execute by end of Q1. That's 11 weeks. Elena opened the folder, scanned the timeline, then looked up. This assumes the entire engineering team stays through transition. Yes. What if they don't? They will. How can you be certain? Because retention bonuses are structured to incentivize staying. Elena turned a page. And if they leave anyway? Then we hire replacements. Marcus finally looked at her. Is there a problem, Dr. Vasquez? No problem, she said, just a question. You're approaching this like an asset acquisition, but it's a people acquisition. The value isn't in the code, it's in the team that built it. If they walk, the value walks with them. Marcus leaned back. Your point? My point is that retention bonuses are transactional. People don't stay because of money. They stay because they believe in something or someone, and right now they don't know who we are or why they should care. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he opened his laptop. I'm scheduling weekly check-ins with each team member. 30 minutes. I'll address concerns directly. Elena shook her head slightly. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? She closed the folder. People don't trust spreadsheets, Mr. Hale. They trust relationships. If you want them to stay, you need to show them you see them as more than line items in a budget. Marcus's expression didn't change. I see them as employees. Valuable employees. Which is why I'm offering competitive compensation and clear career paths. That's not the same as seeing them as people. Marcus set down his pen. Dr. Vasquez, I appreciate your perspective, but this firm runs on efficiency, not sentiment. Sentiment doesn't produce results. Neither does alienation, Elena said quietly. But that's your call. She stood. I'll start the integration process. Is there anything else? Marcus looked at her for a long moment. No, that's all. Elena left. And for the first time in years, Marcus sat alone in a conference room and felt something he didn't have a word for. Not anger, not confusion, something smaller, quieter, doubt. Over the next 2 weeks, Elena executed the integration exactly as Marcus had outlined. But she also did something else. She scheduled informal coffee meetings with the engineering team, not in the office, at a cafe 2 blocks away. She asked about their work, their challenges, their ideas. She didn't take notes. She just listened. And when the team started asking questions about Hale Meridian's culture, she answered honestly. I don't know yet, she told them, but I'm trying to figure it out. The engineers appreciated that, more than they appreciated the retention bonuses. Marcus noticed. He noticed because productivity metrics started improving. Code reviews were happening faster. Bug fixes were being deployed ahead of schedule. The team wasn't leaving. They were engaging. He called Elena into his office on a Friday afternoon. The integration is ahead of schedule, he said. Whatever you're doing, it's working. Thank you. Elena sat down across from him. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. Why did you build this firm? Marcus frowned. That's not relevant to the integration. I'm not asking about the integration. I'm asking about you. Marcus's jaw tightened. Dr. Vasquez, this is a professional environment. My personal motivations, Marcus, she interrupted. Not Mr. Hale. If we're going to work together, I'd like to know who I'm working with. Not your title. You. Marcus was silent. No one had ever asked him that. Not in 17 years. Not once. Because I wanted to build something that couldn't fail, he said finally. Something that didn't depend on chance or luck or other people's emotions. Something I could control. Elena nodded. And has it worked? Of course. You're one of the most successful CEOs in the industry. I mean, has it worked for you? Marcus didn't answer. Elena stood. I'll see you Monday. She left. And Marcus sat alone in his office, staring at the city below, and realized he didn't know how to answer that question either. The integration continued. The fintech team stayed. Elena's approach, Marcus admitted privately, had been effective. But something else was happening, something Marcus couldn't quantify. He started noticing things he'd never noticed before. The way Patricia's voice sounded tired on Fridays. The way the junior analysts avoided eye contact when he walked past their desks. The way the office felt less like a place people worked and more like a place people endured. He mentioned it to Elena during a status meeting. She looked at him with something close to surprise. You're just noticing this now? I notice everything, Marcus said. I mean, you're just feeling it now, Elena corrected. There's a difference. Marcus frowned. What difference? Noticing is observation. Feeling is connection. You've been observing people for years, but you haven't been connecting with them. And connection is what makes people stay. Not just at companies, anywhere. In relationships, in friendships, in life. You can control systems, Marcus, but you can't control people. Not for long. And eventually, isolation catches up. Marcus stood, walked to the window. I'm not isolated. I have 400 employees. Elena's voice was gentle. How many of them know anything real about you? How many would you call if something happened? How many do you actually care about? Marcus didn't turn around. That's not the point of employment. I know, Elena said, but it's the point of living, and you can't separate the two. Not completely. Not without losing something. Marcus turned. What am I losing? She met his eyes. I don't know, but I think you do. The meeting ended, but the question stayed. 3 weeks later, Patricia had a family emergency. Her mother, who lived alone, had fallen and broken her hip. Patricia came to Marcus's office early Monday morning. Mr. Hale, I need to request leave. 2 weeks, possibly 3. I've briefed my backup on your schedule. Everything is covered. Marcus nodded. Approved. Thank you. Patricia hesitated. That's all? What else would there be? She paused. I've worked here 6 years, and you've never asked me anything about my life, I know. Because it's not relevant to your job performance, right? Patricia said quietly. Of course. She turned to leave. Marcus spoke without planning to. How is she? Patricia stopped. Excuse me? Your mother. How is she? Patricia's expression shifted. She's scared. The surgery went well, but she's 78, and she's never been in a hospital before, and she doesn't understand why this is happening to her. Marcus was quiet. Then he opened his laptop. Send me her hospital information. What? I'll have flowers sent. With a card. Patricia stared at him. You don't have to, I know, Marcus said. But I'm going to. Patricia's eyes filled. Thank you. After she left, Marcus sat very still. Then he called Elena. She answered on the second ring. I just approved Patricia's leave. Good. And I'm sending flowers to her mother. Also good. Why does it feel strange? Elena was quiet. Then she said, because you're not used to considering people outside of their function, but you just did. And now you're realizing that seeing people as people requires something from you. What? Empathy. And that scares you. Marcus hung up, but he sent the flowers anyway. The firm held its annual gala 2 months later. Black tie, clients, investors, press. Marcus had attended every year for 17 years. He gave the same speech, thanked the same people, left after exactly 90 minutes. This year, Elena was invited. She arrived late, wearing a dark green dress that looked nothing like the corporate uniform she wore at the office. Marcus saw her from across the room. She wasn't networking. She was standing alone near the windows, looking out at the city. He walked over. You're not mingling. Neither are you, she said without looking at him. I've already spoken to everyone who matters. And who matters? The people who write checks. Elena turned. That's a depressing way to measure value. It's accurate. It's transactional, she corrected. You keep confusing the two. Marcus almost smiled. Almost. You don't enjoy these events. No. Then why come? Because it's expected. Elena looked at him. And you always do what's expected. Marcus didn't answer. Elena sipped her wine. Can I tell you something? Go ahead. You're exhausted. I'm fine. No, she said. You're not. You're running on systems and routines and control because you're terrified of what happens if you stop. And the thing is, Marcus, you're right to be terrified. Because if you stop, You'll have to feel everything you've been avoiding for years, and that's going to hurt. But avoiding it is killing you. Slowly, quietly. Marcus stared at her. Why do you care? I don't know, Elena said. But I do. The gala ended. Marcus went home, sat in his apartment, alone. The space was immaculate. Expensive furniture, no clutter, no warmth, just surfaces and silence. For the first time in years, Marcus hated it. He called Elena. It was past midnight. She answered anyway. I don't know how to do this, he said. Do what? Live like a person instead of a machine. There was a long pause. Then Elena said, Start small. Marcus waited. Tomorrow, she said, have lunch with someone, not a client, not a colleague, just someone. And don't talk about work. Talk about anything else. I don't know what else to talk about. Then figure it out, Elena said. Because that's the problem, Marcus. You've forgotten how to be anything except what you do. And what you do isn't who you are. I don't know who I am, Marcus said quietly. I know, Elena said. But you can find out. If you're willing to try. The line went quiet. Then Marcus said, Will you have lunch with me? She smiled. He could hear it in her voice. Yes. They met the next day at a small restaurant neither of them had been to before. No business attire, no agenda, just lunch. Marcus ordered without looking at the menu. Elena noticed. Do you always do that? Do what? Order the same thing every time. Marcus frowned. It's efficient. It's boring, Elena said. Try something new. Marcus looked at the menu. Everything looked unfamiliar, risky. He ordered something he'd never had before. When it arrived, he took a bite. And? Elena asked. It's good, Marcus admitted. See, she said. Small steps. They talked for an hour, not about work, about books, movies, places they'd been. Elena had lived in 6 countries before she was 12. Her father was a diplomat. Her mother was a translator. She'd grown up learning to adapt, to read people, to find connection in chaos. Marcus had grown up in Connecticut, only child. Father was a corporate attorney. Mother was a fundraiser. He'd learned to perform, to achieve, to meet expectations. Connection had never been part of the curriculum. Elena asked him when he'd stopped letting people in. Marcus thought about it. I don't think I ever did. My parents weren't. He paused. They weren't cruel. They were just busy. And I learned that if I took care of myself, I wouldn't be a burden. So I did. And eventually, taking care of myself became the only thing I knew how to do. Elena nodded. And now? Now I don't know if I remember how to do anything else. You're doing it right now, Elena said. This. Talking. Being here. That's connection. Marcus looked at her. It doesn't feel like enough. It's not supposed to, she said. Connection isn't something you achieve. It's something you practice. Every day. With small choices. And it's uncomfortable. Because it means letting people see you. And being seen means being vulnerable. And you hate being vulnerable. Marcus didn't deny it. But I'm here. Yes, Elena said. You are. Over the next 6 months, Marcus's life changed in ways he couldn't measure. He started having lunch with employees, not to evaluate performance, just to know them. He learned that the senior analyst had a daughter who played violin, that the CFO volunteered at a food bank on weekends, that Patricia was taking night classes in art history. He started remembering birthdays, asking how people's weekends were, listening to answers. The office didn't become less efficient, it became more human. And Marcus, slowly, became more human too. But transformation isn't linear, and 6 months in, something happened that fractured everything Marcus had been building. The firm faced a crisis. A major client threatened to pull their entire portfolio, $20 million in assets. The reason was legitimate. One of Marcus's analysts had made an error in a quarterly report, not catastrophic, but significant. The client wanted accountability. They wanted someone fired. Marcus reviewed the situation. The analyst was young, 26, talented. This was her first major mistake. By every metric, she could recover, but the client didn't care about metrics. They wanted a consequence. Marcus called Elena into his office. He explained the situation. Then he asked, "What would you do?" Elena was quiet. Then she said, "What do you want to do?" "I want to keep her. She's good. She made a mistake, but she'll learn from it. Then keep her." "And lose the client?" "Maybe," Elena said, "but losing the client doesn't mean losing your integrity, and firing someone to appease someone else's anger isn't leadership, it's capitulation." Marcus stared at the contract on his desk. "This is $20 million. I know. This could destabilize the firm. It could. But fear isn't a good reason to compromise your values." Marcus looked up. "And what are my values?" "You tell me," Elena said. Marcus thought about the past 6 months. About Patricia's mother. About the analyst's daughter. About the CFO's volunteer work. About every small moment of connection he'd started to care about. Then he picked up the phone and called the client. He didn't apologize. He didn't beg. He explained what had happened. He took responsibility, and he made it clear that he wouldn't fire the analyst. The client was silent. Then they said, "We'll think about it." They pulled the portfolio anyway. $20 million. Gone. The board called an emergency meeting. They were furious. "Reckless," one director said. "Emotional," another agreed. Marcus sat at the head of the table and listened. Then he spoke. "You're right. It was emotional. And I'd do it again. Because firing someone to save a contract isn't how I want to lead this firm." The board stared at him. One director said, "You've changed." "Yes," Marcus said. "I have." The meeting ended without resolution. But Marcus didn't regret the decision. Elena found him in his office later that night. "You okay?" "No," Marcus said. "I just lost $20 million because I refused to fire someone, and I don't regret it. But I also don't know what that means." "It means you care," Elena said, "about something other than the firm." Marcus looked at her. "Is that good?" "I don't know," Elena said, "but it's real, and that's better than what you were." The analyst kept her job. The firm recovered. And Marcus, for the first time in his life, felt something more valuable than control. He felt human. A year later, Marcus and Elena were having coffee in the same cafe where she'd first met with the engineering team. The fintech acquisition had been one of the firm's most successful integrations. The team had stayed. Some had even been promoted. Elena had been promoted too. Executive VP, Marcus's second in command. They'd become something Marcus had never had before. Friends. Real friends. Marcus asked her once why she'd pushed him so hard. "Because you needed it," Elena said, "and because I saw something in you that you didn't see in yourself." "What?" "That you actually care. You just didn't know how. And now? Now you do." Marcus smiled. It wasn't easy. "It's not supposed to be," Elena said. "Growth never is. But you're better for it." "Am I?" She looked at him. "Are you happier?" Marcus thought about it. Then he nodded. "Yes, I am." "Then that's your answer." Marcus Hale still ran Hale Meridian Capital, still worked long hours, still scheduled his days in 30-minute blocks. But he also took time to know the people around him. He attended Patricia's mother's 80th birthday party. He mentored the young analyst who'd made the mistake. He donated to the CFO's food bank. Small things. Human things. Things that didn't show up in quarterly reports but mattered more than anything he'd built before. Because he'd learned what Elena had been trying to teach him from the beginning. That control is an illusion. That vulnerability is strength. And that the most important thing you can build isn't a company. It's a life. One where people know you. Not what you've achieved, not what you control, but who you are and who you're becoming. If this story reached you, share where you're watching from.